I sat down with family, explained to them I'm going into this leadership position. And because of, as you said, there is a lot of politics, a lot of things that come in SACCOs leadership. I prepared them and told them that probably I may find myself in situations or in media coverages that may not be very positive. Find out most women will not offer themselves for leadership position for fear of what they will encounter, for fear of the unknown, and fear of dealing with the challenges. For anybody who would want to grow their financial wealth, I would advise them without any hesitation to join a SACCO. Generally, SACCOs have membership or the member welfare as the highest priority of their operations, their products and services. SACCO helps you to put your little earnings to be able in savings. And from those savings, you can be able to borrow 3, 4, up to even 5 times of what you have in savings. In terms of where you put your money is where you need to diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Welcome to Manspeqtive Africa, your favorite show. I'm your host, Dannish Odongo, aka the son of Kano. And of course, as you always know, that we are breaking barriers, and what better way than to actually bring a lady who's doing amazing work and has risen all the way to the top in a male-dominated field. Her name is Jennifer Mburu. Yes, hi Jennifer.
Hi.
Karibu, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I know you're shocked that we are shooting in such a relaxed space, but like we said, this is the future of journalism and storytelling, where stories are more personal than those big studios where they're impersonal, and then, so hopefully you're comfortable.
I'm very much okay.
You're very much okay.
Yes.
All right. So when we start, perhaps you might tell us your name and, just to confirm, and then what you do, and, your career and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. My name is Jennifer Mburu.
Yeah.
I'm an accountant by profession.
Yeah.
I work as an accountant in terms of my full-time job.
Yeah.
I'm also in the board of Mahasibu Sacco,
Okay.
being a member and a director.
Okay.
And I have served in the board as the chairman for the last 4 years.
Wow.
But from this year, I'm serving as the vice chair, as I served my last year, as I retire.
Okay.
As I serve my last term in the board of Mahasibu Sacco.
Okay. So 2 things are very fascinating about you. I said that maybe our stereotypical mindset around accountants is that, you guys are conservative, wearing dull colors, and, you seem to be a very different type of an accountant. Is this the new form of doing accounting, or it's just our limited stereotypes?
I think it is just a stereotype.
Yeah.
Accountants are normal people just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
We have different personalities.
Yeah.
So I think that has just been a stereotype.
Yeah.
But at the same time, times have changed. And we have also seen that fashion and tastes and preferences have changed with time.
Yeah.
And in the 21st century, this is the look of an accountant.
I like that. Sister locks, nice nails, and colorful attires. I like that. All right.
Yeah.
So Jennifer, maybe perhaps I've worked briefly in the SACCO, and I understand how SACCOs work. They're deeply political, they're deeply patriarchal, but also they're extremely rural in terms of how they are run, So you really vied and you convinced the delegates from across the country, and you were actually voted in a secret ballot, and you won and became the chair.
Exactly. It took courage, believing in yourself, put yourself up for the election, be able to talk to the members, convince them of your abilities and what you're able to offer, and they give you your votes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you're making it to sound very simple. Well, I know how last minute delegates can call each other and say, CC delegates, why you panda, delegates, why you panda, will not actually vote for this person. But I'm glad that they actually voted for you. You know, so what is it about you, maybe perhaps in your childhood, was it something that you were always very keen on breaking barriers? Like from a very young age, you just knew that, by the way, my work is actually to break barriers. And was this something that you picked along the way?
Well, I would say it's something that I've had since my childhood. And actually, I detest stereotyping. So when women are stereotyped and more or less told that this is for women, this is for men, that for me gives me a push to show that as a woman, I can also be able to do. Because the ability to do or to deliver, it is not determined by stereotype. It is determined by how hard you work and how you prepare yourself to be able to deliver on whatever mandate and responsibility that you've been given. Actually, I believe when it comes to delivery, as an employee, as a director, it should not be based on gender. It should be based on the ability. But unfortunately, from our culture, the way the upbringing, you find that always if it is a woman, then it is viewed differently. But that should not be the case. People should be judged based on their abilities and what they have been able to deliver.
The individual capacity.
Yes.
I like that because I think oftentimes we carry how we were raised from home into the workplace. And so, you know, what was the setting that you grew up in? And, you know, maybe what are some of the memories you remember, you know, some of these things that, you know, prepared you for this very same moment and this role?
Okay. So for me, I've grown up in a fairly large family. Made up of boys and girls. And when we were growing up, at least our parents tried not to have roles for the girls, roles for the boys. We shared the chores and made sure that everybody had also an opportunity. If it is being able to play, we do not have someone has to do household chores before they can be able to go to play. If it is schooling, everybody had an opportunity to go to school, come do your homework. So whatever chores were there, they were shared equally to make sure that the workload or the load on each child was less.
Equal and equally distributed.
And equally distributed. Yes, and I think that is what also pushed me to be able to work hard and also be able to give them my best because I did not feel overburdened that I had to do extra chores or extra responsibilities that would deter me from if it is my schoolwork. Yes.
So what has been some of the biggest challenges you've had to face, especially at this role where you're doing this sort of, you know, work? Because I know SACCOs are deeply political, you know, and deeply patriarchal, you know. How have you had to navigate some of those challenges and stereotypes that can come with, you know, the gender? It's unfortunate, but we see, and this is how I felt when I was working in the SACCO industry. It was they first saw your tribe, then they saw your age, then they saw your gender. Or sometimes, depending on how it was rearranged. Has that changed? Am I still significantly like that?
We still have an aspect of that. So actually the first barrier or the first challenge you have to face as a woman is the fact that you're a woman. Because even as you offer yourself for leadership, the first few comments and reactions will be, she's a woman, will she be able to? So it is still there, but I cannot say it is as much as it was in earlier years because there have been efforts to ensure there is a bit of level playing ground and also to uplift women and also make them be able to occupy leadership positions.
Okay.
Yes.
So for people who don't know, maybe perhaps this is the time that you could briefly just give us a bit of a profile of Mahasibu Sacco, you know. Just membership, asset base, and all these things, maybe, you know.
Mahasibu Sacco We pride ourselves as the Sacco for professionals. It was started off by our sponsor, who is Institute of Certified Public Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, ISPAC. So it was started for the accounting profession, but over time we have opened up our common bond, but we still restrict ourselves to professionals. So we have opened our common bond to be able to admit other professionals, engineers, lawyers, doctors. So we are the Sacco for professionals. In terms of whom we serve, our members are drawn from people who are in employment, formal employment, in the public sector, in the private sector. We also have people who are in business, like the practicing accountants, practicing auditors, and also other businesses. So by and large, that is our membership from Mahasibu. We are currently over 10 billion in terms of asset base. Our loan book is close to 8 billion, as well as our membership is over 25,000 members cut across the country locally, and we also have members from diaspora. Yes.
10 billion asset base, that's not a small Sacco.
It's a big Sacco.
It's a big Sacco, and it's a deposit-taking Sacco licensed by SASRA?
Yes, but that is a recent achievement. We have been a non-deposit taking Sacco until the end of last year, around August, October. We got our license to be a deposit-taking Sacco. And we are very excited because having achieved that kind of asset base when we were a non-deposit taking Sacco, we can only expect that we will grow exponentially
from here. All right. So that we bring this story a bit more closer home, there's a lot of conversations that I've seen mostly from non-Sacco partners, and people are saying that, SACCOs might not be the best avenue because, they're locking in your deposits and you can only use it to take a loan to develop, yet you could just put that money in a money market fund or all these things, So taking on the hat of a financial coach or a financial trainer, what would you tell somebody who perhaps is young and is thinking of diversifying their portfolios, and one of them looking at SACCOs as an option?
Well, my advice would be that you'll never go wrong by joining a Sacco. And why do I say this? Because a Sacco is formed by members. It is run by members, and members also are the beneficiary. So generally, Saccos have membership or the member welfare as the highest priority of their operations, their products and services. So for anybody who would want to grow their financial wealth, I would advise them without any hesitation to join a Sacco. Again, Saccos by and large operate through what we call cooperative principles, which put the membership welfare at the heart. I don't if can I go through the principles?
Go through the principles.
The first one is voluntary and open membership. And this provides for non-discrimination, so that no member is discriminated on the basis of their political, religion, gender, or social grounds. So it is open and voluntary. Then we have economic participation by members. So all the members participate in building up the capital for the Sacco, and they equally share in the returns that are generated by the Sacco. We also have another principle which provides for education, training, and information. So the Sacco is required to train, sensitize its members so that they are very much aware of the products and services that the Sacco provides. And in that process of educating and informing members, they also provide feedback which inform the products and services that the SACCO comes up with to be able to fill in any gaps or any needs for them, for the members. And maybe I can use an example, like my SACCO Mahasibu. We draw our membership from members who are in formal employment, members who are in business. So we structure our products to be able to fit the various categories of our members. Those who are in formal employment and are dependent on a payslip, we have products that will suit them. For those who are in business, we also come up with products that will suit them to help them to be able to grow their businesses because their needs are different from those who are in employment. Another example I could use is the cooperatives that are in the agricultural sector. You find that these cooperatives will come up with products that will help the farmers to get their inputs for their farms when they need to do the planting. And this product then enables them to pay for those products at the end of the year from the returns that is due to them after they have sold their produce. In that way, now they are able to get a credit facility that they would not be able to get in the other financial institutions like banks. And they are tailored to be able to meet their needs and also how their cash flows come as they do their agricultural work. Yes.
So that is a very high level type of awareness. So I have money. I want to join a SACCO. I've put in deposits. Perhaps what can I do so that I'm able to, to move forward? Like, what are the opportunities that are available? Like, maybe we could give you an example of maybe a success story, not necessarily mentioning the SACCO that has done that. You can tell me there was this person who did this and that, and now they have this, People tend to relate more with those type of, I started a chicken business with a feather. I started my egg business with a quail egg, and now here I am. I don't know why we love those type, but we love them like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I can use an example that we have had in our education forums for our SACCO. Because we have members who have given testimonials of what they have been able to use or to do through the SACCO. So there is one gentleman who told us he owes everything that he has to the SACCO. He joined the SACCO immediately. He got his first job and started saving. So his first car, he bought using a loan from the SACCO. Repaid the loan. He got another loan. He bought a house. And he had a place to live. The next thing, he needed to have a family. He got a loan and was able to pay dowry. And started a family. When the children were old enough to go to school, the SACCO again came in hand to help me to manage the school fees for the children. So that was his testimonial that everything in his life he owed to the SACCO.
Including the wife and the children.
Exactly.
But not Jennifer, somebody who's both an accountant and somebody who I think maybe knows a little bit about finances. Now looking back, that is his testimonial. But is that like a sound way to build wealth? Like for example, having your first loan as the loan that you used to buy a car. Would you advise a young person to do that honestly?
Well, in terms of priorities, that may not have been the best. But what I can say is that SACCOs provide a platform that is unique than other financial institutions. However, that is where the education and training for members come in, so that it can also help them to set their priorities. And be able to know, where do I put my investment first, or what do I prioritize in terms of investment. But for sure, the SACCO helps you to put your little earnings to be able in savings. And from those savings, you can be able to borrow 3, 4, up to even 5 times of what you have in savings.
Yeah.
So that makes you to be able to access more money than what you would access just merely from your savings. Again, from what I've said in terms of education, the SACCO ensures that as you take that loan, you're putting it in a use that will give you some returns, enable you to repay the loan, and still have something for yourself. So that is where the principle of education and training comes in handy, which other financial institutions probably would not have.
Yeah. I traveled across this country doing actually the education and awareness for the members of the SACCO I worked for, but I found it quite limiting that most of the time we only focus on telling our members about the opportunities available within the SACCO. But I think there's need for SACCOs to adopt a different methodology, to think about this idea of portfolios, that a SACCO can just be one portfolio, but have multiple portfolios. That I think because I don't think a SACCO like yours can pay a financial advisor to come and tell them about about other portfolios. You want them to come and bring all the money and have it here. What do you think about that idea of just diversifying this access to information, especially amongst members? Because I didn't know these things, even though I worked in a SACCO. I just knew. Get your shares, get your deposits, borrow, buy a piece of land in Kamulu, borrow, get a top up, jenga mpaka ifike Linton, borrow, weka roof, ingia kamoja maliza. Borrow, and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would say diversification is good.
Yeah.
What I would advise is that you need to weigh and evaluate the various options that are there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which is this financial institution that will give better terms and conditions than a SACCO. Because as I said, the SACCO is member-centric, taking care of the member. And the SACCO also has an extra role of concern for the community.
Yeah.
So in terms of source of your money,
Yeah.
I would advocate for SACCOs.
Yeah.
In terms of where you put your money is where you need to diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. So once you have taken or accessed credit from the SACCO, you can diversify your investments, also to maximize your returns.
Yeah.
Yes, and also to manage the risk. Because when you invest, there is risk you'll make money, there is risk you will lose money. So it is best when it is diversified.
There's been a lot of conversations around I've seen a lot of content, people bashing SACCO. So they said, there's this financial institution that, misappropriated this number of funds that you are invested by the SACCO. And then they said that SACCOs, unless you can take a loan, there's no way you can, you can do that, Maybe perhaps as somebody who sits on a management level, maybe you can let the audience know what is the governance structure like, and what is the process that it takes to actually run a SACCO, so that people don't think that SACCOs are run like public toilets, where you just walk in and walk out, Because I think you sit at the pinnacle and you have an overview of how SACCOs are run. And I think it is important that you let our audience know.
All right. In terms of how SACCOs are run, we have a board of directors. And we have the management team, and that will be the employees that have been engaged to do the day-to-day operations. In a SACCO that is regulated and also upholding good governance, accountability, and transparency, it will also be guided by policies and structures, some of which actually are required by the regulatory authority. And therefore, it is not at the discretion of the board in terms of how they manage the funds for the members. They are also bound by tenets of good governance. And actually, you will find that board members sign to a code of conduct. And they are held accountable against those code of conduct. So I would say SACCOs, money in a SACCO is as safe as money in a bank or in another financial institution, especially for SACCOs that are regulated and they are compliant with the regulations.
So just so that we break it down and assuming that our audience don't know anything. So how are boards elected? How are boards instituted in SACCOs? What is the process of instituting a board?
Okay. Yeah. We have two different systems.
Okay.
We have SACCOs that hold annual general meeting, which is for the general membership.
Okay.
And it is during those annual general meetings for the whole membership that board members are elected by the members.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, before it gets to that election, the interested board members are expected to go through a nomination process where they are required to meet certain criteria.
Yes. Yeah.
And they have to submit their nomination papers and all the requirements to show that they meet the required criteria. Once they are cleared, there is a vetting board or a vetting committee that will sit and evaluate all the candidates' documentation, and some of them even go to the extent of interviewing those board members just to see that they meet the requirements to serve as board members.
Yeah, what are these type of requirements? So like, give us an example. Like, for example, for your SACCO.
I will use an example of my SACCO.
Yeah.
We have academic qualifications that you must meet.
Okay.
That is a first degree
Okay.
in relevant fields.
Okay.
Then you must also be, in terms of membership, you must have a certain amount of share capital and deposits.
Okay.
Just to show that you will have the interest of the SACCO at heart because you have some investments there.
Yeah.
We also have now the general requirements of a certificate of good conduct.
Okay.
Clearance from EACC.
Okay.
I think that is it.
So it's actually rigorous.
It is rigorous.
So then after you do the nomination, after you submit your interest and you ask, you show interest, then what happens next?
Once you do that and you get a clearance certificate from the vetting board, then now you are able to be announced to the vetting board will announce the candidates.
Yeah.
And there will be a campaign period where you are able to talk to the members, give them your manifesto, what is your vision of the SACCO. Then come the annual general meeting. There will be an election that is normally presided over by the ministry official.
The Ministry of Cooperatives.
Ministry of Cooperatives, yes. Okay. And then now members are able to vote and be able to elect their members.
Yeah.
The second way is that there are those who have delegate system.
Yeah.
So they hold the annual delegates meeting. So delegates are selected from the general membership. And those are the delegates that meet in the annual delegates meeting to elect the directors. But the process is more or less the same. It's only that now the people doing the election is the delegates. But for the first option, it is the general membership that elects the board members.
So you're telling me that SACCOs are actually meticulous about how they do their corporate governance. So it's not some random voodoo magic that people end up being leaders in the SACCO. It's actually a meticulous process. The second thing you're telling me that there's actually also professionalism, so that SACCOs are not run by, village cattle dip chairman and then chairwomen, because there's sometimes that perception that SACCOs are, for villagers, and there's this kind of thing about this country where we have class, tribe, but also we have rural and urban, so the urban people think that rural people have no capacity,
Yes.
So I think that's important. So once the board is then instituted, you're telling me that there are these policies that guide the board. What are some of these policies that, for example, what type of policies do SACCOs usually have that they use to run their affairs?
In terms of SACCOs also being financial institutions, you will find also their policies that guide financial institutions, like anti-money laundering policy, data protection policy.
Okay.
So we have a big load of policies that guide, just not just to protect the members, but also to ensure that SACCO complies with the legal and regulatory requirements.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. There's this thing we hear, deposit-taking SACCO and non-deposit-taking SACCO. What are all these things? And then there's the farmers cooperative SACCOs and all these things. What are levels of cooperatives in this country, and how do I know which one to join if I'm just like a young person who wants financial independence?
Well, okay.
Yeah.
When it comes to non-withdrawable deposit-taking SACCOs, and deposit-taking SACCOs, the main difference is that for non-withdrawable deposit-taking SACCOs, they do not allow members to withdraw their deposits.
Okay.
You cannot.
So deposits are this money you put on a monthly basis.
The monthly contributions.
The monthly contributions, they go and form something called
deposits.
Okay.
Yes. So for non-withdrawable deposit-taking SACCOs, you cannot withdraw those deposits because they only have back office services.
Okay.
They do not have the front office services where you can be able to withdraw those deposits.
So there's something called back office, there's something called front office.
Yes.
So front office is what, back office is what? Assuming that our audience don't know these things. Majority of them don't know. I know, but I need to interview like I don't know too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is called as back office services is that the SACCOs operate without a face-off with the members.
Yeah.
So more or less they are working like from the back office.
Okay.
But for deposit-taking SACCOs, they are more or less like banks. So they offer front office services, which now the member can be able at will to deposit or to put their contributions and withdraw them as and when they require them. So they more or less, the front office services is what you would call as an equivalent of a bank.
But for SACCOs.
But
so
for
you can have a
SACCOs.
checkbook, you can get an ATM card, you can actually have a savings account. So that's what front office is.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So you continue to tell me that there's deposit taking and deposit taking, then other levels of SACCOs.
Well, in terms of levels of SACCOs, I would say it depends with the members who have come in together to form the SACCOs. So you find that there are SACCOs that the common thing that has brought the members together, it is their agricultural activities. So you find now those are farmers and those are now becomes agricultural cooperatives. So the various categories of various types of cooperatives is dependent on the membership. But what we have seen is that over the years, most cooperatives that started as closed SACCOs for a certain category of members, most of them now are opening up their common boards to be able to accommodate other members and members of the public, so that they're able to serve bigger clientele and also have a bigger impact in the community.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I'm to do a summary of what you're saying is that if you're like a young person, you want to join a SACCO, you need to look at their corporate governance. How's their board? Look at their financials. So if they're usually public. It's a public document.
Yes.
Look at the health of their, of their financials. So look at how many members do they have? Who are these members? Because that is very important, what's their deposits? Look at whether it's a licensed SACCO, like a deposit-taking SACCO or a deposit-taking SACCO, but also look at their product portfolio. What is it that they offer? How then do you take advantage? So the way you do due diligence when you buy land, do due diligence when you want to join a SACCO.
Exactly.
Because even SACCOs are prone to financial misappropriation, just like banks are, just like our country is. And it's very important because I think like sometimes when like the debacle with Cusco happened, everybody said, oh, remove your money from the SACCOs, take it to the mattress. But when banks collapse here every day, we don't see people saying, remove your money from the banks, take it back. Because I feel like there's just this silent, propaganda against SACCOs. And for me, as somebody who's worked in the SACCO, and I've traveled the breadth of this country, courtesy of a SACCO, and seen how people's lives have been changed. I think we need to tell the story of how SACCOs can actually transform people's lives. When you are to advise maybe perhaps your younger self or a young woman, What has been those? What are those lessons you've picked that you could tell a young woman who's maybe ambitious or wants to change the world and stuff like that? What are those lessons?
Well, I would summarize those lessons in one big lesson.
Okay.
That you need to build yourself from a very early stage to be able to rise or to be knowledgeable, competent enough to be able to take up leadership positions. It all boils down to yourself. So be it education, you need to strive to get the best education or the best out of education.
Yes.
So work hard in your education. Develop other aspects of your life, health-wise, socially. Currently, we are talking of mental health. Just to make sure that you have energy that drives you. I find that when you are knowledgeable, you have all the competencies and skills, then you are able to lead with confidence. And you are able to face the challenges and pressures that come with leadership. So I would say that is the biggest lesson. It all starts with you. You must also deal with your own self-barriers.
There are self-barriers?
Yes.
Like which ones?
Fears.
Okay.
You find that most women will not offer themselves for leadership position for fear of what they will encounter, for fear of the unknown, and fear of dealing with the challenges. So when you have first dealt with yourself and the fears that you may have or self-barriers that you may have, then now the next step is to offer yourself, to take up roles, and to be able to use your skills and competencies to be able to deliver results. And when you do that, then you create a pathway for you to be able to grow into leadership positions. Another lesson I would say I have learned is that you also need to build a support system. Yes, you can make it on your own, but you require a lot of support from family, friends, your social networks, to be able to navigate through the challenges that come with leadership. And also because when you become a leader, you do not stop having other responsibilities at family level, at community level. And for you to be able to balance and be able to still serve all those responsibilities, you require a lot of support system.
What does your support system look like? You?
For me, first and foremost, my family is very supportive. And especially when I took up leadership in the SACCO, I sat down with family, explained to them I'm going into this leadership position. And because of, as you said, there is a lot of politics, a lot of things that come in SACCO's leadership. I prepared them and told them that probably I may find myself in situations or in media coverages that may not be very positive. And therefore, my family was very supportive. And being also be able to sieve what is true and what is untrue. Because you find most of this negative media coverage will not necessarily be based on the truth. And because also of people trying to get into this leadership, you find that there will be people who will try to bring you down so that they can occupy those leadership position. It is no different from the political leadership we see in the country, and we see people throwing mud at each other. So for me, my family has been very support in the first seat in terms of support for me. My friends and my colleagues in the board of Mahasibu Sacco, as well as my place of work. So I have quite a number of cheerleaders and people also that are able to hold me when the tough gets tough. The going gets tough.
Yeah.
So that is very important. And I don't think also it is something that is unique to women. You find that men also have their own support systems. You find that men will have drinking clubs, people they are able to interact. But for women who do not have those drinking clubs, you need to find ways of having the support system and areas where you can be able to get that support.
Yeah.
Yes.
But at the stage of life you're in, you know, at the apex of your career, how are relationships like? Do you find that you still have genuine friends? People see you as a ladder to this? And how do you manage those things?
Well, I have to be honest, it is a mix.
Yeah.
You have both genuine friends and you also have people who would want to use you or to take advantage of your position to be able to access what they think they can access through you.
Yeah.
However, when you are in leadership, you must be able to listen to all these people, be able to interact with all these kind of people. But at the end of the day, you must remain focused. What is it that you need to deliver? Yeah. What is your responsibility? So that you do not get mixed up and find yourself in a situation where you have deviated from what is your core role and responsibility.
Yeah.
Yes.
I honestly think that you've talked about a very fundamental thing, mental health. And I know that that is one of the things that affects especially many women who rise. For example, you know, you are I'm just giving an example. Somebody's a young mother, they're dealing with postpartum depression. Maybe there's also the challenges around relationships, divorce and stuff like that, you know. What have you learned or what has worked for you in terms of building a mental fortitude and emotional ability to actually show up and do this work, which can actually be very draining and very demanding?
Well, I would say it is a mix of things. First and foremost, as an organization, as a SACCO, we have taken mental health as an area of education sensitization. So we invite facilitators, consultants in that area to be able to provide the necessary information. And it is from such kind of sensitizations and trainings that you get to know of coping mechanisms. I've talked about the support system.
Yeah.
That is also another way
of dealing with mental health.
Dealing with mental health. Making sure that you have people who you are close enough to, you can share with your challenges, and who can also help offer solutions so that you do not die alone.
Yeah.
There is normally a very common saying that it is very lonely at the top.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you must deal with that and make sure that you still keep your social life alive. Yeah. Another way is spiritual nourishment, making sure that also your spiritual life is ongoing, and also making that your health, physical health, is also taken care of.
You've talked about a very interesting thing that, it's lonely at the top. So do you have fun? Because now I think you're an accountant, you're a chairperson of a SACCO, political. How does your fun look like?
Yes, I do have fun.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm a sporty person. I like sport activities.
Nice, yeah.
So you'll find me participating in hikes.
Okay, nice.
In jogs.
Yeah.
And even team building activities, those I enjoy a lot. And we have also incorporated the same into our SACCO and into the organization that I work with. So those are some of the fun things that I do.
Okay.
Yes.
They sound like very serious fun.
Very serious fun.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah, I like that. Of course, we often don't talk enough about the type of support that men need to offer women even as they rise? Because honestly speaking, Jennifer, we have 52% of our population are women, 48% are men. So which means that even for you to succeed, there must have been some level of support from men,
Yes.
What have you learned how to collaborate with men in a way that then you can navigate and rise? Because we are a deeply patriarchal society.
Yes.
And we see things from that lens. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, interacting with men, I talked of developing social skills, soft skills.
Soft skills.
So that you're able to interact at all levels, as well as maintain a good level of respect and mutual trust, so that men can be able to also provide that support.
Yeah.
I also think that as time has gone by and the issue of inclusivity, women leadership has been brought forth, we have quite a good number of men who are for pro-such activities or pro-such initiatives, and they provide very good support to women, which is quite commendable. Yeah.
I would not, there's no way, this is a very sensitive topic, but I'll have to ask you. So if you're to talk to a young girl who perhaps is facing sometimes sexual harassment in the workplace, what I know it is illegal. Like, for example, there's a lady who we hosted on this show who has been extremely harassed, and because of that, she's denied opportunities to actually go to the field. There's no promotion, stuff like that, What has been your experience, or how have you, would you tell a younger woman or somebody who's just being harassed? Because I don't think that is only unique to young women. How do they navigate that?
Well, first and foremost, such a person or such a young girl should not feel ashamed. Okay. It's not their fault they are being harassed.
I like that,
So they should have courage, speak about it, report, so that they can get the support that they require, and for the people who are culpable, that they can be held accountable. It is very unfortunate that we have such cases, especially at this age and 21st century. But the most important thing is that we need to the young people need to be courageous, to be able to come out and speak about it and report it to the necessary authorities and people close around them, so that they can get the support that they require.
Some of them who speak are victimized. Some of them who speak are silenced by older women. Some of them who speak are actually shamed by older women. What do you have to say about that?
Well, it is quite unfortunate. It is quite unfortunate, but that does not mean people to keep quiet when they go through such. The struggle has to go on. It has to start somewhere. So the first thing is come out, speak.
At whatever cost.
At whatever cost.
Say, blow the whistle, Yani.
Blow the whistle. There has been a lot of institutions that are coming up to support such kind of harassments. And therefore, my advice would be just speak up. Just speak up and take heart. Yes.
And take heart.
Yes.
I like that, because sometimes we think about bills need to be paid, and we're in a place where all of these things need to be done, and we wonder how will it be, So I like this conversation a lot, because Jennifer, to be honest with you, I exist within the civil society space and media, and I find the gender dynamic conversation, it's either one-sided, it's either confrontational, let's get men and take them to mass so that we're only women space alone, or women saying, men are this, so I feel like we're not actually cultivating a space for us to talk, So are you worried about a world that maybe, a young man might grow in, could be a brother, could be a son, could be a nephew, especially now that, there are evident challenges that some of them face? Because I'm asking this question because I want us to think about the world as a cyclical thing. When women thrive, everybody thrives. When men thrive, everybody thrives. It's not an either or, but this adversarial approach where it's only one that can succeed, I think it's very short-sighted, and in the long run, the gains we are making for women, we will lose them if we don't make any gains for men, and the gains we're making for men, we will lose them if we don't make any gains for women. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say that I'm worried. It has taken quite some time and a lot of effort and strides to bring women to where we are today. Yeah. For the men, as you've indicated, when the man thrives, also everybody thrives. Yeah. So we need to move away from this conversation actually of men, women. What we should be talking about is equal opportunities. Yeah. And even when we are dealing with issues, in the first instance, it should not be about male and female. Yeah. It should be about the issue at hand. So I would say as we continue maturing in terms of advocating and making sure that there are equal opportunities between male and female, we need to move to that next level now, where we now talk about issues.
I like that.
Yes. Yeah. So that the conversation can go to that higher level where we need to propel everyone for us to be able to deal with the issues that are affecting us at the community level, at the society level, at the country level.
I really like that, because you find that at the core of these challenges, if we focus on the issues, the gender wars die down. For example, I was telling my former colleagues here that 80% of deaths on these Nairobi roads are men who are dying. So you can choose to say that, oh, men are dying because they are reckless, blah, blah, blah. Or you can choose to say that men are actually dying and it is a public health, economic, social issue, because these men maybe have young wives, they have children, and think about the burden of a single income family households. They are likely to be more poor. So if we get our emotions, how we feel about that gender, but look at it as an issue, it's a public health, public transport issue, I think that we can make progress. Also, when we think about women and their leadership, it shouldn't be that now it's the women leading. No, it's about that this person has an opportunity to give us their brilliance, their talent, their skill sets, regardless of their gender.
Exactly.
I think that then becomes a very important way to move forward, So let's talk about, and I don't like, I once worked for a gentleman called Chris Kirubi, who hated this word called legacy, because he said that if you ask about legacy, it just feels like my life is over and I'm dying, and now legacy, what do you mean by legacy, Odongo? I still want to be able to, But do you think about that day when you walk out of employment, when you retire? Do you think about that? And what would you want to look back to as the pages of your story? How do you want that to be written?
I actually have no option but to think about it. Okay. Like I said from the beginning, I'm serving my last year in Mahasibu Sacco as a director, because we have term limits. And the legacy, or what I would want to be remembered for, is the foundation or the systems that we put in place to be able to move the circle from one point to a higher point. And systems and processes that can be built on by those who will come after to be able to still propel the circle to better performance, better stability, and sustainability. So I pride myself that during the time that I have served in Mahasibu Sacco, we've been able to do a lot of digitalization of our processes. And the services we give to our members now are more online. And members do not have to come physically to the Sacco to be able to access the services. I would say we have also done a lot of review of existing policies, instituted new policies that again build the foundation for those that will come thereafter
Yeah.
to be able to propel the business of the SACCO.
Yeah.
In terms of governance, it's also something that we have really worked on. And I think we are among the very few SACCOs that have term limits.
Yeah, I'm going to cut you short because my producer will ask me, these people pay you to brand Mahasibu Sacco on a light note like
Okay.
So there's a question I want to ask. Sometimes I feel like people get lost. Like, for example, we get lost in our jobs, we get lost in our motherhood, we get lost in our spousal role, we get lost in our, So the legacy I'm actually more interested about is you as a person.
Yes.
What do you want to look back? Because these things you're doing for the SACCO are mostly performance-based.
Okay.
And oftentimes we want to, we want to look at how is my performance. But beyond the performance, how do you want to look back and look at this?
Maybe I think some few minutes to think about that. It's a difficult one.
But do you have a challenge around? Do you feel like sometimes you get lost in all these things you do? Do you feel like maybe certain parts are slipping away? You have got everything under control?
Well, I wouldn't say I have at any one point felt lost.
Okay.
Because part of the coping mechanism is that regularly I sit back and reflect.
You sit back and reflect.
What it is that we've been able to achieve at individual level, at organization level,
okay,
and at the broader level of meeting our members and being able to serve or to discharge the responsibility that I have. So at no point, and that is the kind of balance that as leaders, we need to ensure that there is always a balance.
Okay.
It is very easy to get lost and be consumed with all that is happening.
Yeah.
But when you take time to sit back, reflect, learn, relearn, plan, replan, and make sure that you are still running in the right direction.
So who are you beyond your career, beyond the role you serve at the chairperson, really at the core? How would you, describe yourself?
Well, I would describe myself as, first and foremost, as a God-fearing lady.
Okay.
Somebody who is firm and focused.
Okay.
In terms of what it is I would want to achieve or what it is I would want to offer in terms of roles and responsibilities that I've been given.
Yeah.
And I would also say that I'm a person who would want to see our country and the world be a better place for all.
All right.
Yes.
So give us your final comments as we're coming to an end. Your camera is that one there.
Well, my final comment would be to encourage young women to be able to take up roles, leadership roles whenever they come up, and to be able to build their confidence and courage to be able to lead. They have what it takes. You do not need to have everything at your fingertips. Some of the things you learn along the way.
Yeah.
So I would say go for it. Don't shy away. You can do it.
Okay.
Yes.
Because previously we had a discussion around hosting women on Manspeqtive. Initially, the show was just for men only.
Okay.
So up to 75th episode, we're just hosting men only.
Okay.
But then for me, the dilemma has always been that I don't believe in these exclusive spaces.
Okay.
Men only, women only. Of course, we might need them for like women only Chama or women only this. But ultimately, we must create platforms where these people meet to talk. And because it's very difficult to address the issues of men if you don't talk about women. It's very difficult to talk about women if you don't talk about men.
Women. Exactly.
Exactly. Like, for example, a man, you're likely to work hard because you have a wife at home and, you want to build, for her and for your children. If you're a father, you might likely have a daughter. And If you're a woman, if you have children, maybe you have a son, maybe you have a brother, maybe you have a man, So our world are so intertwined that we cannot allow this idea that these two genders can operate without one another. And we must collaborate. Men must support women. Support them at the highest level. Don't allow a woman rising intimidate you. Don't be the kind of man who says, I can only marry a woman who's beneath me.
Yeah. Don't
be a man who says that, oh, by the way, if she's a woman, women are led by their emotions, stuff like that. Also, and vice versa, And so I think that has been really what we're trying to do on Manspeqtive here, to try and build a platform that we can have gender justice issues and gender justice conversation by talking to men and by talking to women, so that then ultimately we build a world where both of us can thrive. I've been your host, Mr. Dannish Odongo, aka the Son of Kano. And this has been Manspeqtive Africa. We're hosting Jennifer Mburu, and she's given us excellent gems. I pray that you've actually picked some pointers here, and you're watching this show with a pen and paper, because this is like what I call mentorship 101. And of course, you can follow this conversation. The hashtag, as always, is Manspeqtive Africa. If you're watching us on KTN, remember, every Thursday we are launching a new episode on YouTube, and if you're watching us on YouTube, but every Wednesday night we are on KTN, and you can let us know what you think about this content. Until next time, may God bless you, and adios.